Some facts about electromagnetic radiation and the human health. According to the National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences, electric and magnetic fields, EMFs, are invisible areas of energy, often referred to as radiation, that are associated with the use of electrical power and various forms of natural and man-made lighting. Electromagnetic radiation is, classically speaking, a wave of electric and magnetic fields propagating at the speed of light c through empty space. In this wave, the electric and magnetic fields change their magnitude and direction each second. Source: Britannica. Electromagnetic radiation can be classified into two types: ionizing radiation and non-ionizing radiation, based on the capability of a single photon with more than 10 eV energy to ionize atoms or break chemical bonds. The most common health hazard of radiation is sunburn, which causes between approximately 100,000 and 1 million new skin cancers annually in the United States. Source: Wikipedia. Some forms of electromagnetic radiation, which is radiation found in different kinds of light waves, including ultraviolet light and X-rays, can cause damage to the DNA inside a living cell. When DNA is damaged by radiation, it can lead to cell death or to cancer. With regards to the electromagnetic fields and cancer, the World Health Organization has this to say: the results to date containing many inconsistencies, but no large increases in risk have been found for any cancer in children or adults. A number of epidemiological studies suggest small increases in risk of childhood leukemia with exposure to low-frequency magnetic fields in the home. Welcome to Real Sci-Communications. Kindly like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Electromagnetic radiation, EMR, refers to the energy propagated through the space in the form of electromagnetic waves, which include radio waves, microwaves, infrared radiation, visible light, ultraviolet radiation, X-rays, and gamma rays. These types of EMR have varying wavelengths and frequencies, each with its own characteristics and potential impact on human health. It is important to note that electromagnetic radiation is a natural phenomenon that has existed since the formation of the universe. The impact of electromagnetic radiation on human health has been a subject of interest and concern for many years. While there is a consensus among scientists that high levels of ionizing radiation, such as X-rays and gamma rays, can be harmful to human health, the effects of non-ionizing radiation, such as radio waves and microwaves, are still a subject of ongoing research and debate. It is important to note that the vast majority of scientific studies have not found any conclusive evidence linking non-ionizing radiation from everyday sources such as cell phones, Wi-Fi routers, and power lines to adverse health effects. However, it is still worth exploring some lesser known facts about electromagnetic radiation and some potential impact on human health. Before we begin to talk about this fact, for more clarity, let's reiterate what electromagnetic radiation is. In the words of Intech Open, electromagnetic waves are produced by the motion of electrically charged particles. These waves are also called electromagnetic radiation because they radiate from the electrically charged particles. They travel through empty space as well as through air and other substances. Electromagnetic waves at low frequencies are referred to as electromagnetic fields, and those at very high frequencies are called electromagnetic radiations. Let's get some must-know facts about electromagnetic radiation and the human health. Number 1, non-ionizing versus ionizing radiation. Electromagnetic radiation can be broadly classified into two categories based on their ability to ionize atoms and molecules: non-ionizing radiation and ionizing radiation. Non-ionizing radiation includes radio waves, microwaves, infrared radiation, and visible light. These forms of electromagnetic radiation have lower energy levels and are generally considered to be safe for human health. The most common sources of non-ionizing radiation in our daily lives include cell phones, Wi-Fi routers, microwave ovens, and household appliances. On the other hand, ionizing radiation includes ultraviolet radiation, X-rays, and gamma rays. These forms of electromagnetic radiation have higher energy levels and can potentially cause damage to living cells by ionizing atoms and molecules within them. Sources of ionizing radiation include medical imaging procedures such as X-rays and CT scans, nuclear power plants, and certain industrial processes. Number 2, the health effects and the exposure limits of non-ionizing radiation. Non-ionizing radiation, particularly radio frequency radiation, emitted by wireless communication devices, has been a subject of concern in recent years. However, extensive scientific research has been conducted to evaluate the potential health effects of non-ionizing radiation. And the consensus among the expert bodies is that exposure to RF radiation from everyday devices is unlikely to cause adverse health effects. Government and international organizations have established exposure limits for non-ionizing radiation based on extensive research and scientific consensus. These limits are designed to protect individuals from potential harm. For example, the International Commission on Non-Ionizing Radiation Protection, ICNIRP, set guidelines for exposure limits to various types of electromagnetic fields. Compliance with these guidelines ensures that the general public is not exposed to levels of non-ionizing radiation that could cause harm. These guidelines are regularly updated based on the latest scientific evidence and are designed to protect against established health effects such as tissue heating and electrical shock. Number 3, health effects of ionizing radiation. Ionizing radiation has higher energy levels and can cause direct damage to DNA and other cellular structures. The health effects of ionizing radiation depend on various factors such as the dose received, the duration of exposure, and the type of radiation involved. At high doses, ionizing radiation can cause acute effects such as radiation sickness and burns. Long-term exposure to high levels of ionizing radiation is associated with increased risk of developing cancer, as it can induce mutation in DNA of cells. However, it is important to note that the risk of developing cancer from medical imaging procedures or exposure to background radiation is generally low and outweighed by benefit of these diagnostic tools. Number 4, electromagnetic hypersensitivity, EHS. Electromagnetic hypersensitivity, EHS, is a condition in which individuals claim to experience various symptoms such as headaches, fatigue, dizziness, and sleep disturbances when exposed to electromagnetic fields, even at low levels. However, numerous scientific studies have failed to establish a causal relationship between electromagnetic field exposure and the reported symptoms of EHS. The World Health Organization, WHO, states that electromagnetic hypersensitivity is a real condition, but the symptoms are not caused by electromagnetic fields themselves. Instead, they may be attributed to other factors such as psychological effects or environmental conditions. Multiple double-blind studies have shown that individuals who claim to be sensitive to EMF cannot consistently detect the presence of electromagnetic fields under controlled conditions. Moreover, when individuals are unaware of whether they are being exposed to EMF or not, they do not experience any symptoms associated with electromagnetic hypersensitivity. Therefore, the prevailing scientific consensus is that EHS is not a recognized medical condition. Number 5, thermal effect. One well-established effect of high levels of non-ionizing radiation is thermal heating. When exposed to intense sources of electromagnetic radiation, such as microwave ovens or industrial equipment, tissues in the body can absorb this energy and heat up. However, everyday exposure to low-level sources like cell phones and Wi-Fi routers does not produce significant heating effects. The energy levels emitted by these devices are far below the threshold required to cause any noticeable increase in body temperature. Number 6, cell phones and brain cancer. One of the most debated subject area regarding electromagnetic radiation and human health is the potential link between cell phone use and brain cancer. While some studies have suggested a possible association, the overall scientific consensus is that there is no clear evidence of a causal relationship. The largest and the most comprehensive study on this subject area, known as the Interphone study, found no increased risk of brain tumors associated with long-term cell phone use. However, due to the rapid evolution of technology and the relatively short time frame since widespread cell phone use, some researchers continue to investigate this area. Number 7, electromagnetic radiation and fertility. Another area of concern is the potential impact of electromagnetic radiation on fertility. Some studies have suggested a possible link between exposure to high levels of non-ionizing radiation, such as from occupational sources and reduced sperm quality, or female reproductive health issues. However, the evidence remains inconclusive and more research is needed to establish a definitive connection between EMR and fertility problems. Number 8, regulatory standards and guidelines. To protect public health, regulatory bodies around the world have established standards and guidelines for limiting exposure to electromagnetic radiation. These standards are based on extensive scientific research and take into account the potential health effects of different types of electromagnetic radiation. For example, the Federal Communications Commission, FCC, in the United States has set limits on the specific absorption rate, SAR, which measures the rate at which radio frequency energy is absorbed by the body. Devices such as cell phones must comply with this SAR limit to ensure that they do not exceed the recommended levels of radio frequency exposure. Number 9, precautionary measures. Despite the lack of conclusive evidence linking non-ionizing radiation to adverse health effects, some individuals may still prefer to take precautionary measures. These can include using hands-free devices or speakerphone options when using cell phones, keeping devices away from the body during use, and limiting exposure to sources of non-ionizing radiation where possible. It is important to note that these measures are based on personal choice rather than scientific consensus. In conclusion, while there is ongoing research into the potential effects of electromagnetic radiation on human health, the current scientific consensus suggests that everyday exposure to non-ionizing radiation from sources like cell phones and Wi-Fi routers does not pose a significant risk. However, it is important to adhere to regulatory standards and guidelines to ensure safe levels of exposure to both non-ionizing and ionizing radiation. The established exposure limits and guidelines set by international organizations aim to protect individuals from potential harm. However, it is always advisable to stay informed about the latest research and follow any recommended precautionary measures. Kindly drop a comment below in the comment section. Thank you for listening and stay tuned for more updates.